A highly impactful event is looking pretty likely here. Winter weather event in points further south than what we'd expect, roughly a week after we already, just less than a week after we have some snow in the south already. And this could be even more impactful over a wider area here. If I start this, you can see what we're talking about here. Slow this down some, back it up. I mean, move towards here. Speed it up a little bit. You see in ice, snow, moving through the flow. It looks like it moves too fast, but it's all through the weekend, right? So good evening. Wow, that's another storm pushing through, but we'll go over that in tomorrow's video or as we get past the weekend. But my name is Tim Ealer, meteorologist. Um, good evening, like I said, and wanted to get this video pushed out for people who are getting concerned about this event coming up this weekend. And I would appreciate it if y'all like and subscribe, share with your friends. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And let's get started. All right, so this is data 3 to 7 U.S. Hazards Outlook. We kind of discussed this with the key messages, right? We're discussing that. Um, so, what we got here, hazardous cold all the way down to the Gulf Coast in the short term, all the way up in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, just the 23rd through the 24th, 24th through the 25th, 25th through the 26th, just all over the place, right? Heavy snow overlapping here, the 23rd through the 24th, and the 24th through the 25th. So generally 23rd through the 25th here, and the freezing rain is part of that. So this is a high impact event from many different aspects here. And so we have overrunning moisture from the subtropics coming up over this cold air, strong high pressure at the surface. So you have overrunning, and where the cold air is deep enough, um, we got heavy snow. Where it's shallow, right at the surface, freezing rain and sleet. So highly impactful event coming up. This is the experts talking about it, not Tim Ealer. So I'm not saying you take this exactly to the bank, but this is a good indication of the seriousness of the situation here. So here's the latest forecast, 7-day forecast from the National Weather Service Atlanta office, showing the possibility of wintry mix moving into the weekend here. So this is for the whole Atlanta FFC area. So depending on where you're at, you may get a wintry mix, but the possibility is being highlighted by them too. So sunny today, of course, tomorrow increasing clouds, scattered showers the next couple days, and then wintry mix, and then mostly cloudy on Monday. So let's see the highs here, 30 to 40, 35 to 45, cooling off quite a bit here as we get towards the weekend. All right, so if nothing else, it's going to be cold. So, moisture is going to meet up with the Arctic air surging south. So, where the two meet, significant wintry weather may occur, and we've been talking about this. But how much cold air will make it further south is important to look at. The precise timing and location of each precip type and overall impacts are in question, right? Freezing rain, snow, sleet are all possible here. Continuing model forecast in the local National Weather Service office. Also, you can watch my channel. I'll tell you what's going on, of course. But one thing that's highlighted here, consider how you would stay safe. You lose power, the ability to travel for several days. What would you do? So now's the time to think about this. All right, guys. So as far as low temperatures tonight, um, rolling through most of the day. So lows in the teens to 20s, North Georgia, mid to upper 20s in South Georgia, right? With clear skies. Tomorrow, highs in the 40s, low 40s up north, high 40s further to the south, and approaching 50, low 50s further to the south also, with sunny to partly cloudy skies further to the south. So, extreme cold is going to be part of this system, right? And here's your risk of hazardous cold, January 27th through February 2nd. High risk, according to the Climate Prediction Center here, in parts of the Ohio Valley in the Midwest, all the way down to the Gulf Coast, the Northeast, and slight risk further to the west here in the different time frames that you see. It's a smaller graphic, and I'll go over the larger graphic as part of my video here. Dangerous wind chills, negative 50s are possible up here. You see this swath up here? The 22nd through the 26th wind chill values, negative 50 into Minnesota, North Dakota. That is North Pole type cold, right? Even into northern Maine and to New England here. So the cold will expand. The Northeast and Ohio Valley Friday night and through the weekend. So, and they may also stretch into southern plains and mid South. Of course, higher uncertainty exists how far south they'll get, but confidence is increasing that it's going to be cold, right? High risk, right? And we talked about this of much below normal temperatures in the Ohio Valley and Central Appalachians from the 22nd through the 29th. With these amount of wind chills, this is life-threatening. Hypothermia and frostbite to exposed skin. So you got to be very, very careful if you're going to go out in these cold temps. And you got to know what's going on. Negative 50 wind chills. I don't care who you are. Nobody wants to go out in that if you can help it, right? I mean, that's just hard to think about, right? So be safe out there, guys. So, as part of my afternoon forecast here discussion, I thought I'd put together some more current information, excuse me, with key messages for major January winter storm from the Weather Prediction Center. It just came out. And, this is from the experts, not Tim Ealer. So, you can't take exact locations to the bank here with this, but you can also be pretty confident this event's going to happen in the South, okay? So, significant winter storm, increasing confidence with this winter storm developing. So, heavy snow and ice from the Great Plains starting Friday and continuing to the East Coast through the weekend. So, the graphic on the right shows a chance of at least moderate impacts from snow, okay? Biggest impacts look to be, at least right now, in North Carolina, parts of the Mid-Atlantic coast here, and into parts of the southern plains, right? And then the bottom graphic shows a chance of at least moderate impacts from ice, right? Which means sleet and freezing rain. So you see the darker colors here indicate higher confidence, right? And already high confidence here. And this is 4 days away now, really. Okay, so we need to start thinking about preparations for infrastructure right now. Okay, if this event starts on Friday, and we'll go over the model guide scan for timing here, it could impact travel, right? So heavy snow north of the storm track. Periods of heavy snow are expected to cause numerous travel headaches, right? So wherever the heaviest snowfall sets up, from the southern plains east to the mid-Atlantic, snow-covered roads and reduced visibilities, of course, are the potential hazards, right? And then you talk about the ice. along just south of the storm track, icy winter mix is possible, right? So, ice, snow, mid sleet, freezing rain. So, and this is just an inherent uncertain probability 4 days out. Changes in the forecast are anticipated, but in general, more confidence. They will put this graphic out if they weren't pretty confident in this happening. All right, so when looking at this, the European model, right? Has the same look to the GFS when we start this off at Friday morning. Okay, it wants to fill in the freezing rain further, more than the GFS does to start. But you see where all the snowfall is here. Okay, guys. We move further in time, that moves further to the east, right? Not as expansive to the west here is with the GFS. Keeps more moisture here, but you see the extent of the cold air here, and pretty strong high pressure, 1037 further to the north here. Okay, a potential crippling icing event for areas of the south, the mid-Atlantic with snow, and even into the south here. So, this moves offshore, really ramps up as it just barely gets offshore in time here, but it doesn't really spin up that much to have an impact for the Northeast. So that's the European. I'm not going to spend as much time going over specific about amounts and stuff at this point because it's really not worth talking about. Because nobody knows that yet, right, guys? So we'll have to watch this pattern. Okay. So what's the GFS show? I'm going to start this. This is the latest run, 12Z. Yeah. So 12Z, hour 90. This is Friday morning, right? We already see some showers developing here. Cold high pressure, 1051 high pressure at the surface. Okay. GFS. So already by Friday night into Saturday morning, we have freezing rain all the way down to central Texas with a swath of maybe sleet in between and snow further to the west here and north. The cold air pushes even further south. And we talked about why that's happening, right? High pressure is centered further to the closer to the Rockies than it is to the East Coast at this point. Heavy snow is ongoing here north of where this freezing rain line is, okay? And sleet pushes further to the south and east, and this pushes further south. Look at this snow down into parts of Mexico, like on the Gulf Coast here. I mean, that's insane. And what you see, sorry, stepping back here, you can make out low pressure starting to develop here along this boundary. Baroclinic zone, right? Moving to the north here and moves out to sea. With remaining frozen precip further to the south into Texas. Okay, so if we zoom this out to North America, the GFS really doesn't want to center that high pressure as far east as the AI globals, right? So it's an interesting evolution here. Go back in time and see this again, right? This is a good zoomed out view. Cold high pressure here, all the way, just very expansive. You see the 540 line here? Very cold, all along this, right? I mean, just unbelievable. And you see the surface low out here, out west here, and more moisture. The moisture is just feeding in here. All right. Okay. So yeah. All right. So that's the GFS for right now. So I thought I'd switch it up here. With the models. This is the from the Tilmerberg polarweather.com has of AIFS ensembles. So um, from what I understand about this, this includes the GFS and the European AI model and blends them together and this shows a dominant P type, right? On the map. All right. So I'm gonna move my ugly mug down here. Move my cursor up here. So this is Friday, roughly around 2 p.m. Eastern. High pressure building down, right? 1044 high, near record heights, I think. Maybe this is an ensemble. All right, so still very high for ensemble. But you see along the eastern side of it, the snowfall, right? And this layer of colder air builds further to the south. And you see maybe a low pressure developing here at the surface, okay? Overrunning moisture, either sleet, freeze, and rain. And even out west here, getting into some enhanced moisture as well. And you can almost see the moisture coming just this way, right? So it's coming from the subtropics here, right? Just feeding right up this way. So moving on with this, maybe want this low to move further to the east here. See high pressure slides further to the east, right? The center of it. Although, because of the Rockies here, you have cold air damming on both sides. Okay, you got cold air coming down this way on the east side of the Rockies. Rockies are here, right? You have cold air coming down on the east side of the Appalachians as well, right? So, um, I would say that because the Rockies are higher in elevation, um, the cold air doesn't have much opportunity to go over top of that, right? So, because it's very dense and so um, not as likely to spill over. Although you can see some effects from that further to the south here, maybe where the elevations it scoots over the mountains to some degree here. So move through time with this. This is Sunday, all right. Snowfall totals are the highest here. Generally in the Tennessee Valley into parts of Texas, be some icing here as well, right? Sunday morning, snow moves off to the east. You still have some icing down here in the south, the deep south, right? This holds on along the eastern seaboard with this CAD wedge, cold air damming in place. You see this surface high is really pushed further to the south here, right? So, and you can see some heights rising here to the east. Well, not rising, but some movement of a low pressure maybe to the north here, right? So we'll have to see how that plays out. Not rising heights, but um, the cold air damming, maybe a low moving up to the north here. And then see this low right here. So let's go back a minute here. See what's happening here. And then you see this low develop off the coast. Pretty far to the south here. Energy transfer at some point here. All right. So this is pretty far south, but this is an ensemble, right? So the moisture, the heavy snow never really makes it to the northeast, but the cold air is firmly entrenched up here, and that's why, you know. So you see way up to the north of this as well. Um, Looks like you got a pretty stout low pressure up to the north here. So, um, and stout high pressure just to the southwest of it. That moves out. Get a respite from it, right? You think that's it? Well, look what we got. We got another pretty stout high pressure pushing further to the south. This is the 28th, okay? Presses back down even further here. And, you know, the ensembles are just showing pretty spread out precipitation types at this point. And this is 10 days from now. So I'm going to stop it here. But if we go back, you can see how impactful this event can be. And this is a AI ensemble. Okay, so I mean, you're taking into account all the A models and combining them, right? So, um, pretty stout signal here, guys. If you look at the GFS ensemble, it has a pretty similar output here for the potential icing event. Although it shows a dominant P type of freezing rain, a lot more expansive here, right? With heavy snow maybe just on the northern boundary of this, right? You can see just the ensemble is a little bit spread out, more spread out. I would expect it to be because it's got 30 some members, right? Really wants to hang on to this event through Sunday and finally move it out, right? But then potentially bring in another swath of colder air and like precip winter weather to the east again. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But for the short term, you can see what it thinks about different precip amounts. So um, high pressure securely anchored to the north here is going to keep, at least based on these models so far, um, the heavier amounts from moving northward. So lastly, we're going to talk about the European ensemble for today. And this is all about the ensembles and what their thinking is in the GFS and European. But um, so European ensemble. This is starting Friday morning, 6Z. High pressure building into the north here. I'm having to dig deep to finish this video. I'm getting kind of tired here. My voice is not going good here, but surface high, strong out west here. All right. This is Friday. You see precip on the increase here for the south, and you see what happens here. It blossoms, moves further to the east here. We don't show P types here because this model doesn't show that, but you can make out generally where the freezing line is, and you have overrunning moisture here. Strong surface high to the north will keep this from moving too far to the north, guys. So it moves out to sea, right? So all weekend we're gonna have impactful vent moving from west to east, right? So we're gonna have to keep an eye on this, and you know, we're gonna refine our forecast in the coming days. Now, if we dive into the 8 to 14 day hazards outlook, so well, we got not a lot of risk of heavy precip, meaning rain here, the exception of far northwest, into Oregon and to southeast Alaska here. Snow during this period, nothing on the map right now. This could change, but as of right now, nothing on the map. High winds possible here, the 27th through the 30th, along the eastern seaboard, mid-Atlantic, northeast into New England. and along the great parts of the Great Lakes here in the Appalachians. And this is the most impactful graphic, right? Cold air, high risk here, greater than 60% where this bullseye is. And we talked about this already. Moderate risk now, all the way down along the Gulf Coast, along the eastern seaboard. Excuse me, up into the parts of the Northeast here. All right, it's 27th through the 30th. So you have this slight risk here surrounding it. The 22nd through the 2nd is kind of a bigger area for cold. So not as much certainty here. So certainty is, the trends are leading towards a very impactful cold and precipitation, winter precip, especially in the south here. So the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, I mean, makes sense given what we've been talking about here with hazardous temps. High confidence of below normal temps in the mid-Atlantic, parts of the Ohio Valley, and in the Northeast, and points inland here. Even further to the south here, high confidence, right? Generally east of the Rockies. Near normal to above in Alaska, near normal to above in Aleutian Islands, and above in Hawaiian Islands here. 6 to 10 day precip outlook. Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out. But right now they're calling for below normal precip chances in the swath from out west here into the Ohio Valley and lower Mississippi Valley. Near normal surrounding it here, and above normal further to the south and right along the southeast coast, and maybe above normal precip chances up here in the northwest and towards the plains here, with above normal precip chances in Hawaii, and above to near normal to below, depending on where you're in Alaska, and near normal in the Aleutian Island chain. So when we get a little further out, the 27th through the 2nd here. Excuse me. Below normal temperatures likely here, just east of the Rockies, maybe a little bit further to the east here. High pressure still out west here. Above normal temps for much of the western U.S. Okay, just a stark contrast here. Alaska above, further to the south into central Alaska. Near normal in between and below, further to the west here. Possible temperatures near normal to below, depending on where you're at in the Aleutian Islands, and above in the Hawaii Islands. All right. Precip. A wide swath here of below normal precip chances right now. So, where this cold air is entrenched, likely below normal, right? So, high pressure also out west. Could leave this on the on the western side of it, maybe some precip getting in on it, right? And further to the south, maybe a boundary here in southern Texas and Florida. Alaska near normal to above normal precip chances, and near normal to above an Aleutian Island chain, and near normal in the Hawaiian Islands. So, in closing, we really got a lot to look into here. The devil's in the details, right, guys? But we have general agreement amongst all the models about this event occurring, okay? And the experts have said it's going to happen. If it's going to happen right over top of your house, I couldn't tell you that. Nobody would be able to tell you that. We can only tell you what the probabilities are. Stay tuned to any National Weather Service alerts, local forecast office, YouTube channels, so you stay informed about the current conditions, what's upcoming, and how to prepare for potential icing, if you lose power, things like that. So let's be safe out there, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning, and God bless.